Greetings, I'm Eddie Muller, here to make your summer a little more bleak and brutal with another installment of Noir Alley. Moral ambiguity is one of the hallmarks of film noir, and today's offering, Armored Car Robbery, has absolutely none of it. This is a straight no-chaser cops and robbers melodrama, and a certifiable B picture in the bargain. It was released in 1950 on the bottom half of double bills with Columbia's The Good Humor Man, a comedy that itself has more than a trace of noir in its DNA. In fact, The Good Humor Man is based on a straight crime story by Roy Huggins that became slapstick farce once it was rewritten by comic genius Frank Tashlin. Now look, you're never going to see The Good Humor Man on Noir Alley, but I bring it up just to show how rampant the noir virus was in post-war Hollywood. So even though it's easy to tell the good guys from the bad guys in Armored Car Robbery, the overall tone of the film and the terrific nocturnal camera work of DP Guy Rowe definitely stained this little 67-minute programmer as truly noir. I'm also showing it because I love it, and because it's part of a sensational run of 6 B crime pictures directed by Richard Fleischer in the late 40s and early 50s, a series of films that kick-started his career as one of Hollywood's most reliable A-list directors. I've already shown The Clay Pigeon and The Narrow Margin, and today's film sits squarely between those two on his filmography. And while his direction of this picture is as good as anybody could have done given the time and budget constraints, what really sets this film apart is its fantastic cast. Over on the crooked side, you've got a litter of lowlifes very familiar to B-movie fans. The always debonair but slightly threadbare Douglas Foley, the loyal but lunk-headed Gene Evans, shifty second banana Steve Brody, and the dishy but reliably duplicitous Adele Jurgens. Now this motley crew fills in the ringside seats quite colorfully during the main event, a knockdown, drag-out slugfest between two film noir heavyweights, granite-jawed Charles McGraw as relentless copper Jim Cordell, and the reptilian William Tallman as slimy criminal mastermind Dave Purvis.
I told you how it's going to be. Get used to the idea.
Wait a minute. You said there was another reason.
There is.
As my pal Alan Rohde likes to say, this is the film noir equivalent of King Kong versus Godzilla. Except, this being a manhunt thriller, the two guys never have any scenes together. Now, this was the film that clearly set McGraw up for his starring role in The Narrow Margin, which secured him leads in several RKO productions, even if he never did become a true leading man.
This cop that was killed was knee-deep in friends. Just so happens I was one of his best. I made myself a promise. I'd go all out to see that the murderer got paid off.
Now, the truth is, McGraw's face and voice are just too distinctive, too genuinely tough to ever earn him more than featured parts, which he had in such exceptional films as Spartacus, The Birds, and In Cold Blood. As for Bill Tallman, he played so many bug-eyed psychopaths during the 1950s that it's nothing short of astounding that he'd become most recognized for his long-running role as D.A. Hamilton Berger on the classic TV series Perry Mason. Of course, if you'd seen a lot of crime movies from Raw Deal to Rear Window, would you ever have imagined Raymond Burr as a slim, handsome advocate for the wrongly accused? Now, we'll probably get around to showing all of Fleischer's B-noirs here on Noir Alley, so I'll have more to say about him down the road. Today, let me instead say a few words about his writing partner on the 6 films they made together, Earl Felton. He'd been stricken with polio as a young boy and never regained full use of his legs, but that didn't stop him from having a successful career as a Hollywood screenwriter. Starting in 1936, he crafted a steady stream of mostly B films, gaining a rep for snappy lines and clever script fixing. Beginning with his screenplay for Trapped, a tough T-Man saga made for Eagle Lion in 1949, Felton became a lucky charm for Richard Fleischer, who demanded him as the writer on his next half-dozen films. Fleischer recalled Felton as a world-class character, a cynical, hard-drinking paraplegic who disdained a wheelchair, preferring to navigate around town with a crutch and a cane, which he often used to beat people who tried to assist him. Now, instead of feeling sorry for himself, Felton became a connoisseur of cruel misfortune and a man of prodigious appetites. Dialogue was his forte, and Fleischer cherished his colleagues' turns of phrase, even if they were produced at a snail's pace. Working with Felton, Fleischer said, was like waiting for maple sap to drip into a bucket, but it was so delicious after you got it. Now, I showed Armored Car Robbery at my very first Film Noir Festival 20 years ago with Dick Fleischer as the guest of honor. He hadn't seen it since it wrapped post-production in 1950, and he was nervous about seeing it for the first time. "I'm afraid I'll be embarrassed," he told me right before the lights went down. Afterwards, he smiled and said, "Not bad. I gotta say, not bad for a kid just starting out." I think you will find that a modest understatement. Here is Armored Car Robbery.